Hello, welcome to my channel. I'm Rick Bayshard. One of the problems we have as humans is that we think we're humans. I know it's hard to get our head around that, our brain around that, but I often say to people, in today's medical world, we could cut off your arms, your legs, remove a kidney, an appendix. At what point do you stop becoming you? I'm an advocate of reminding people that none of these things make you who you are, no more than your skin color, your address, your intelligence, your money. You're much more than that. But at this level, in this world, we have it upside down. We think the world made us and that this is who we are specifically, and we naturally have to protect it, and we identify with it with our opinions and our thoughts, and we have this whole dynamic of our world and who we are. I watch a variety of shows on YouTube, and often many of them are physics, quantum mechanics oriented in their discussions. One of my favorite ones is Sabine Hossenfelder, and I like her sense of humor, and she brings up a lot of issues regarding free will and so on. And recently she mentioned humorously that human beings are really no different than a cheese cracker. Perhaps we have a consciousness, but in form, we're no different. In one of her videos, she was suggesting or asking, was the universe made for us? Well, in that question, she's half right. Because the universe was made in part by our ego mind. The ego has made this universe, this world that we're in, as a way to step away from our source, because on one level, at that mind level, before time and space, we think we've done something terrible. We've sinned and we feel terrible about ourselves. So what we do is we've made up this world and we come into it as bodies and so on as a way to run from that. Because that pain of doing something so terrible at the mind level was too much. So we made up a world, and here we are. Big Bang, universe, time, Earth. We think the Earth made us. I come into this. I'm a New Yorker, and the dynamics are set. But none of that is true. But we don't know that, and we shouldn't dismiss that the human experience is in fact very real for us. But if we can understand why we made the universe from the perspective of the mind, the ego mind, to be clear, God had nothing to do with this world or the universe or time and space. It was made by the ego mind because the ego mind believes it has done something wrong. And so we run away, similar to Adam and Eve, ran into the woods. I'm not going to let God find me. And since we're unaware of that, we think the world made us, and here we are in this world. But the problem is that the underlying guilt and fear we have at the mind level seeps out here in this world. And it creates so many different things within us that we're unaware of, especially our own self-hate. Because of this mistaken underlying belief, we've done something wrong at a metaphysical level. But we're unaware of it. But it gets played out here in a very unfortunate way. Because of the fact that all of us have this underlying sense of being incomplete, scarcity, unloved, self-loathing, we do what Freud was very instrumental in describing, was we project it out. Freud had said that any motivations or desires that we have that we can't deal with, we will place outside of us. Many of us have come home perhaps from work after a difficult day, and something the boss said, and we're just not ready to deal with it, and then we kick the cat because, and the cat had nothing to do with it, but we projected that underlying feeling that we can't deal with right now onto the cat. But that kind of scenario is across the board in our lives. We judge constantly. We project constantly psychologically in this world onto everybody, everything, every situation as a way not to look within. Recently in the news, I saw an uproar of people being upset because a beer company used a transgender young lady's photo on the beer can as a gift to her for some of the work she was doing. And then somebody was taking their gun out and shooting beer cans, really, really upset about this. And other people were just like, upset. And my first thought to myself, which I kind of knew the answer to already in light of this conversation, was why are they upset? Why does it bother them? Well, they are taking their own self-hate, their own sense of being incomplete, their own sense of being judged, and not wanting to look at that and saying, this is the person who's bad here. I'm going to project it onto them. This is the situation that deserves the punishment, not me. And we can frame that in a variety of ways and justify it by formal religion. This is wrong. God says it's wrong. God has nothing to do with it. We do. But it's ultimately a distraction in this world not to look within. Now, I'm not judging anybody who shoots beer cans. I get that person is upset himself, within himself. But he's unaware where that pain is coming from, so he projects it onto this situation and just says, this is why I'm unhappy. And it can be a variety of things. It can be a traffic jam. So this is why we judge in this world. And it's helpful to know that this is the underlying psychological dynamic, because what happens is you can begin to see the world as your canvas, and that anything that bothers you is really a projection of what's within that you don't want to look at. Now, keep in mind, you are going to still be upset. I don't like traffic jams. I don't like waiting in line at Walmart. But I immediately now am able to realize that this is about me. The world will never be a place that makes me happy. It certainly can provide me a lot of enjoyable things which I should enjoy. Apple pie, a roller coaster, a nice sunrise. But ultimately these things won't last in form and they won't give me the peace of God. So the goal here then is to be at least consciously aware, even as we get upset, even as we consciously realize I am projecting right now onto this person, this situation. That is a major first step with respect to beginning to own it. And then, as we continue to do that over our lives, it's a process, we'll begin to realize it really is about us. Because there's no harm in a transgender girl promoting beer, or anything for that matter. I mean, as long as somebody is being kind and loving, why give the form of anything any power? I mean, they killed witches in Massachusetts. I mean, people are very afraid, and projection and fearful people can do vicious things. So I think that in light of all this conversation, which is the fundamental purpose of this video today, is to help us understand why we judge each other. And to go into it knowing that I do it too, to be aware of it, and to be aware that the people around me are afraid too. And I'm not going to judge somebody who is upset with somebody else because I know they're all afraid. Now, it doesn't mean necessarily that I'm not going to do something in form. If I am on a jury and I realize the evidence shows that somebody has committed a crime, I will, vote to have them convicted. But I can do that with an attitude that's not punitive. That just realizing this is their journey, this is their classroom, and that everybody's in their journey. But the journey in of itself will serve as that classroom, because that convicted criminal will be able to look at his situation and ask himself why. My only goal is for me to see all of this properly and to understand that the underlying self-loathing that I have, the fear that I have within me that is usually out of my consciousness, but intellectually I get it, is really a mistake, that there is nothing within me that I need to be afraid of. That's one of the fundamental teachings of Course in Miracles, is that we've made a mistake. We don't have to be afraid. You could never leave your source. But you can believe that you can, and then it's your belief that you can makes it true for you. And then we come into this world and we make up a myriad amount of things, and a God that judges us, and so on and so forth. I won't really ever discuss in these videos the nature of God. That's beyond what I can discuss. No more than Sabine Hossenfelder can discuss the size of the universe. We're in a dualistic world with limited brains that we just can't grasp it. But that's not our goal. Our goal is to get ourselves out of the way by looking within and seeing where the real problem is. And to the extent that we can do that, then to that extent, besides the universe, the nature of God, the abstract presence of love, will begin to be experienced by us. But we have to do the work. We have to do, as the Buddhists said in one of their little lines, chop wood and carry water. We got to do the work. But the first step is to begin to understand it's about us, and to look at our feelings and look at our anger and look at why we judge and look at why somebody's making us unhappy. Yes, if somebody calls you an idiot today, it's going to bother you. But as one of my psychotherapist friends, Dr. Kenneth Wapnick, has said, if someone says something negative about you and it bothers you, it can only mean on one level you agree. If you know who you are, that you are whole, inherently good, inherently complete, eternal, nothing anybody would say would bother you. But we don't know who we are. We do think this is who we are. And it's not that we should dismiss it. But on one of our shoulders, we have the ability to say, no, perhaps I've been wrong. Perhaps, as the Course in Miracles would say, release yourself as your own teacher because you have been poorly taught. So, thank you again for watching today's video. I look forward to hearing from your comments and making more videos in the near future. And I trust that you'll have a very peaceful day. Thank you.